Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is bouncing from this critical area of support, while this new short-term signal just now confirmed, while Ethereum is once again repeating history with a new bullish signal now confirmed in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, taking a look at the 4-day Bitcoin chart, and over the last 1 day, nothing has really changed on this chart right here. So at least for now, the super trend indicator on the 4-day time frame is still sitting in the red. And if we're taking a look at the 2-day Bitcoin chart, at least for now, we're still within the larger bearish trend, forming lower highs and lower lows, which is what a bearish trend is. But this is also forming this massive descending, broadening wedge pattern with support sitting at around 52,500 and resistance sitting at just above 68,000. And so despite what happens in the short term on the smaller time frames, over the last 1 day, not much has really changed here on the larger time frames when we're talking about the larger trend at play. But if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, as of right now, the DXY over the last couple of days has basically traded sideways. So we don't really have a lot of new information to look at here. So getting straight into this daily Bitcoin chart, and what we've now just seen over the last 1 day is pretty much a perfect bounce from almost this area of support, only slightly above this area of support, which by the way is sitting in between around 56 to around 57,000, and we did bounce at just above 57,000, only a couple $100 above 57k. And so at least for now, that is the support to pay attention to, especially just above 57,000. That is currently acting as short-term support, and right now we could find a small amount of resistance at around 59,500 based on this volume profile indicator right here. But if we continue up above 59,500, in that case we have this area of resistance to look out for, which was previous support sitting in between around $60,000 to 61,000 approximately, and above that area we also have more resistance at around 62.9k and more resistance at around 64,500. And so obviously, despite the fact that Bitcoin is bouncing from key support, we still have resistance to look out for where the price can also still struggle at. And with that being said, zooming into the short term, looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, and since my last video, we have now confirmed the new bullish divergence. In fact, not long after I finished my last video, we did confirm the new bullish divergence with at least one candle close here, and especially with that second green candle close, we saw a decent bounce here in the RSI, confirming the higher low in place, which confirms the bullish divergence. And so obviously, over the last 1 day, we have seen this bullish divergence already start to play out in the form of a bullish relief, which, as I always say, is one of the most likely outcomes from a bullish divergence. We usually end up seeing a slight bullish relief or potentially just some choppy sideways price action in the short term as the most likely outcomes from a bullish divergence. So far this is playing out over the last 1 day and likely going to continue to play out at least over the next 1 or 2 days or so is usually what we see based on a bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame. And so in other words, we're likely going to see a little bit more of a relief here in the short term, a bounce from this area of support, potentially up until some of these levels of resistance, where, like I just said, around these areas of resistance, that is where we should be expecting the Bitcoin price to struggle in the short term. And obviously, as I always say, it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. So even though we're seeing a bounce from support and we're seeing a short-term bullish relief from this bullish divergence here on the smaller time frames, even though this is happening in the short term, we're seeing a slight bullish relief. Of course, at least for now, this is all currently occurring within a larger bearish trend, because we can see that this short-term bullish relief here on the 4-hour time frame is barely visible here on the 2-day time frame. And so ultimately, we'd have to see a lot more bullish signals in order to actually start flipping this larger time frame here. So ultimately, the larger trend is technically still bearish if we're simply looking at the lower highs and lower lows. Once again, that's what a bearish trend is, but just in the short term for the coming days, potentially, we're most likely going to see a bit of a relief, just a break from that bearish trend here in the short term. And if you want to actually trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now over on Bybit, where you could potentially win up to $100,000 just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is Bitfinex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitfinex, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, you might not be able to access Bybit, but you can access Bitfinex. So I'll leave a link to Bitfinex down below this video, and that link will take you to this page right here where you can actually get up to a 5,500 USDT deposit bonus, and also only if you use that link, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the exchange using the link down below this video for the lifetime of your account if you use that link to make your account. And so as an alternative exchange, one that you don't need KYC for, once again, there is Bitfinex, link down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and as of right now, we still have some areas of liquidity to the upside, but we also have a decent amount of liquidity to the downside, sitting at just underneath 57,000. And so just keep that in mind. We still have a decent amount of liquidity underneath 57,000. But with that being said, we do have some smaller areas of liquidity, first of all, at around 60,000 and around 61,500. And we still have quite a lot of liquidity actually sitting at around 62,500 to 63,000. And so those are just some importance levels to pay attention to on the Bitcoin price chart. And personally, how I use this information is basically in conjunction with these support and resistance levels. So for example, I target these areas of liquidity, but I also keep in mind that we still have support and resistance, which are basically obstacles for the price. And when it comes to whether or not we're bullish or bearish, once again, as I said earlier, just in the imminent short term, we're looking slightly more bullish again due to this bullish divergence now playing out in a bit of a short-term bullish relief that is currently happening during the much larger bearish trend. At least for now, that is the current situation. And with that being said, taking a look at the price of Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, right now the price of ETH is still hanging right around this area of support. Actually, we actually did not end up seeing a proper confirmed break to the downside here below around 2450 to 2.5k here on the 3-day time frame. So at least for now, we're still holding that as support. We still have some hope here in the short term, but as I said in my last couple of videos here on the channel, if we see a further break to the downside here by confirming, for example, 3-day candle closes below around 2450, then in that case, that would basically increase the chances of seeing a move back down towards this golden pocket in between around 2150 to 2.2k. But at least for now, just in the short term, we're still hanging on to this area of support, once again at around 2450 to 2.5k. And as of right now, we still have strong resistance at around 2.8k. And despite seeing a bit of sideways price action here in the short term, technically speaking, the larger trend here on the 3-day time frame is clearly a bearish trend. But with that being said, zooming closer into the short term, looking at the 8-hour time frame, and what we've just seen over the last one day is this new bullish divergence now officially confirmed, which obviously I talked about in my last video here on the channel. I said Ethereum is potentially repeating history. We're seeing something very similar to what we saw back here near the beginning of August, because obviously back then we saw a bullish divergence with lower lows in the price in the candle closes on the 8-hour time frame and higher lows confirmed in the 8-hour Ethereum RSI, and we've effectively just confirms the exact same signal pretty much, which is already starting to play out in the form of a short-term bullish relief. And if we're looking at the outcome of this previous bullish divergence that we saw roughly around a month ago, obviously we saw that initial bullish relief over the next few days after the bullish divergence confirmed. And then we also saw a lot of choppy sideways price action after that, actually for the next few weeks after this bullish divergence. So at least for the next few days, possibly over the next few weeks, we could end up seeing a bit of a break or a relief from the larger bearish trend. But this alone is not enough to confirm a trend reversal on the larger time frame. So once again, we can see these slight bullish reliefs during the larger bearish trends. That is still a possibility, but at least for now, just in the short term, once again, we do have this active bullish divergence now playing out. So we should be expecting a little bit more bullish price action, or at least a bit of a sideways consolidation playing out just in the short term. And if we're zooming into this 6-hour time frame, technically speaking, we have not yet invalidated this previous rising wedge pattern, because in order to invalidate this rising wedge and this break to the downside here, it would have to break out back above around 2.7k, give or take, in order to invalidate the bearish price target for this pattern, which by the way is sitting at around 2.3k. So technically speaking, we still have a price target at 2.3k, but keep in mind we now have an active bullish divergence playing out, which is likely going to play out at least for the next few days. And for as long as we do not break out back above this level right here at close to 2.7k, for as long as we see, for example, the bullish relief play out, something like that, for example, there's still the possibility that we could come back down towards 2.3k. But like I just said, if we start breaking out back above around 2.7k, it's unlikely it would come back down to 2.3k to complete this pattern. But either way, whether or not that happens, either way, at least for the next couple of days, we're still likely going to see a bit of a bullish relief either way, just in the short term here, or at least a sideways consolidation as this bullish divergence is now playing out. And with that being said, taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, and obviously over the last one day, we saw a perfect bounce from exactly this area of support, which is sitting in between 120 to 128, and we bounced from just underneath 128. So basically, the moment the price dipped into this area, we saw a lot of buyers buying up the price in this area as expected, which obviously I've been talking about for months now on the channel. All the way back here, I was talking about this area in between 120 to 128 acting as major support for the price, with a lot of buyers waiting in this area. And so like I said in my last video, it's unlikely that this bearish momentum will continue in the short term now that we're running into critical support. And so far we are seeing a decent bounce from this area. But with that being said, obviously we still have a lot of resistance to the upside to look out for. First of all, we do have resistance at around 139 to 143 approximately, and we have significant resistance at around 159 to 163. And as for the trend and momentum right now, what I'm expecting just in the short term is actually a little bit more of a bounce from this area, considering the reaction that we've seen so far from this area of support, potentially back up at least towards this resistance, but then potentially around this area, we could start to see the price struggle as we're running into key resistance. And obviously, if we end up seeing a confirmed breakout back above around 143, so candle closes back above 143, obviously that would be a short-term bullish signal pointing towards a continued relief in the short term up towards this next resistance, and in that case there's a possible inverse head and shoulders pattern forming if we break out back above this area right here. But at least for now, once again, this area in between 139 to 143 is the current resistance to pay attention to. And while this is playing out in the short term, technically speaking, this is all currently occurring within a much larger sideways price range with relatively horizontal highs and horizontal lows. So the larger trend here on the daily time frame is actually relatively neutral, not a larger bearish trend or a larger bullish trend. We're basically within a massive sideways price range. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, then make sure to check out the links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.